What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Pony Lawson, and today we are diving back into the world of TikTok. We're gonna see some really crazy tattoos, some good, some bad. Either way, we're gonna have some fun. So let's get it. Alright, so this first one is a sticker tattoo, and I really enjoy sticker tattoos. I love how artists can make them look absolutely realistic and all the little tricks that they put in there to really help sell that illusion. And this one is wild. Obviously, the first thing that catches your eye is this crazy holographic effect that the artist pulled off, and that's really hard to do. I've seen some artists put stripes of color in there, which is also cool, but this is on a different level. I can imagine how hard this is to pull off because I don't think I could do that. Even if I could, this would take a really long time. And personally, when I look at tattoos, I try to break them down and think how they accomplished that, how they came up with the design, and this one stumps me. I don't know if they use an app or what they did to come up with this, but either way, it's really impressive. All these little squares with the rounded shades on the inside, and they really pulled off the consistency of color in those squares. Another really fun element about this tattoo is the tape up at the top. It looks like actual tape. And the way that they have that shaded where the sticker comes underneath it, again, just really helps sell that illusion. This thing is nuts. The fold at the bottom right, how it's all wrinkly and they managed to still pull off that reflective feel, I just don't know how the artist did that. This thing is bonkers. Gotta give a huge shout out to Clayton Diaz for really pulling this thing off. I've seen a lot of sticker tattoos over the years, and it seems like the more time that people put into these just make them that much more creative. And it's also Bowser, which is also really fun, great subject matter. Props to the artist and the collector. Let's see what's next. All right, this next one looks to be some sort of, I guess, what would you call that? A 3D tattoo where you see one image with the red lens on and another completely different image with the blue lens on. Again, I bet this was a really hard tattoo to pull off. I truly enjoy how it looks like one image without any glasses on. It's still a great looking tattoo. But when you put those filters on, it just changes completely. This is awesome. I also like how this tattoo represents life and death, how it has a woman's face with the red filter, and it turns into a skull or death when you put the blue filter over it. The time it took to not only design this, but pull this tattoo off, again, man, I'm super impressed with what I'm seeing today. I mean, I guess the sad thing is, I don't know how many people are walking around with these type of glasses to really get the full scope of this tattoo. Either way, still really cool. If I were this guy, I would just carry a pair of those glasses around in my wallet at all times. Be like, hey, check this out. Damn! I mean, if we were really nitpicking this tattoo, if we look at it without the glasses, the blue does look a bit patchy, but overall it's really not too bad. I do like how you can see the skull through the woman's face. I think that's pretty neat. Could the execution be better? Sure, but I think the illusion makes up for it. I guess I just wonder what happens when the colors start to fade out on a tattoo like this. Does the tattoo stop working? Either way, dope tattoo nonetheless, really cool, and it's nice to see that people are constantly pushing that envelope. Let's see what's next. All right, just an ordinary, regular, dope tattoo. I mean, there's no crazy tricks or gimmicks to this one. This one's just straight up badass. Again, this one must have taken a lot of time, and I do believe, I could be wrong, but I feel like we featured this artist in a video in the past. The SpongeBob skull tattoo. I think that's the same artist, if I had to guess. And the only reason I say that is the stained glass portion of this tattoo on the bottom part of the leg. It really reminds me of that same artist. This DNA strand with this crazy, intricate, detailed skull up at the top. Also super badass. My bad. I really thought that was a DNA strand, but as the video goes on, it really does look like the skeleton's ribs. Oops. However, I do think a DNA strand would be really cool in a tattoo like this. Go ahead, I'll let you have that one. Whoever wants to do it, be my guest. The flames look super realistic, although I do wonder about the detail in the skull itself. It's really packed in there, and I wonder how that's going to stand the test of time. I just know details like to blend over time, and it might not seem as striking maybe 5-10 years down the road. I'm also not a huge fan of all that black space up at the top. I think that could have been filled in a little bit more with something else. It just seems like maybe it was a cover-up. I don't know. It just looks empty, or maybe the tattooer ran out of ideas. I mean, I'm not hitting on the tattoo by any means because this thing is beautiful, but maybe the tattooer's brain was fried. Just like the skeletons. Another wild-looking skull. These crystals are insane. These are some of the coolest crystals I think I've ever seen in a tattoo, to be honest. I love the colors, the purples with the blues and all those white highlights. This thing is ridiculous. I'm also really happy to see that we've seen nothing but great tattoos so far. That's a nice change for once. And this thing is massive. It starts at the knee and goes all the way up to the butt cheek, so this thing is huge.
That's what she said.
Hey, the top crystals really remind me of the dark crystal, which is kind of cool, I guess. I don't really have anything bad to say about this tattoo. Again, maybe some of the details might blur together in the future, but either way, as it hits, this thing is badass. A little patch tattoo. Again, another kind of tattoo that I really enjoy doing as of lately are these patch tattoos. I think they're really cool. This thing is done pretty well. I think there are a couple things they could have done maybe a little bit differently to make this thing pop even more, but it's not too bad. It just seems like the bevels are a little flat for my taste. You know, maybe add a little bit of gray wash shading at the bottom of these bevels, give it more three-dimensional effect. But I do really like how the fold comes over on the side of that wing, how it's got like a plaid design on the underneath. I just think it's pretty creative. And the way that they left the old stitching holes where that wing is being folded up, again, it's just another element to add to this tattoo to make it that much cooler. Hey, we've got one from my buddy Matt Rule. Matt Rule's style is ridiculous. If you guys aren't familiar with his page, go check him out on Instagram. It's MATRULE. And Matt will actually be guest spotting at my shop this October, so check him out. Give him a follow and maybe get a tattoo from him while he's in town. This tattoo is dope. It just looks like Barney after several years with an alcohol problem. He's really lost some weight. I love how he makes these crazy, realistic, super high detailed looking heads with these cartoonish bodies. The guy is crazy talented, to say the least. The Travis Barker tattoo is sick. I love this cartoon drum set. This thing is killer. And Travis's head as well. I mean, that thing is dope, man. If you just had the head alone, that would be a crazy cool looking tattoo. These tattoos are just super fun. And if you like more of this style, like I said, please go check him out on Instagram. All right, I've seen these kind of three-dimensional tattoos all over the internet. These things are wild, and they really do take some precision to pull off well. Like this heart tattoo looks like it's sitting in the skin. The vibe lettering looks like it's floating on top of the person's arm. As I said before, these kinds of tattoos take a lot of precision and control, because if you shade one little thing wrong, you're going to completely lose that effect. Even something like this, where you've got Old English lettering on the collarbone, which I've seen done a million times, but it's usually just flat black or negative space, but this is a nice spin to it. I just love how it looks like it's floating 3 inches off the skin. Really solid job on the artist. Oh snap, it's Amanda Graves. I don't know if I've featured Amanda in a video in the past. I definitely wanted to if I haven't, so now's a perfect time. Amanda creates these wild looking shiny tattoos that make it feel like there's actual glitter on the person's skin. This little Reaper one is definitely one of her favorites. I've noticed it's pinned to the top of her page. But what's really impressive about her tattoos is she knows exactly where those highlights are going to be, so she can make those areas tighter and lighter. These tattoos take a lot of patience and a whole lot of planning, because there's so many colors in these tattoos that you just don't realize. There's whites, there's yellows, there's greens, there's blues, there's pinks, there's everything. She still makes this thing look pink even though there's a million colors peppered perfectly in this thing. How many glitter pickled peppers? Never mind. I was never great at tongue twisters. Here's another one of Amanda's tattoos, this little yellow rubber ducky, and again, this thing looks yellow even though there's, I don't know, 10 colors peppered in here. She is absolutely amazing at what she does, and if you're not familiar with her work, I highly suggest going to her Instagram page and checking her out. So far, I'm super impressed with all these tattoos, and I'm very happy to see a lot of people that I personally know. Most of the time, we get garbage tattoos on TikTok, so this is a really nice change of pace. But let's see what's next. Oh, the old soapy reveal. Oh boy, I spoke too soon. Jesus would be pissed. You think that's after like 5 days on the cross? It looks like Jesus might have some kind of addiction problem. Or maybe he's been hanging out with Barney for too long. Pretty sure I gave this guy some change earlier today. I just wonder what the clients feel when they're looking at these kind of tattoos in the mirror. They're like, sick, bro. I just love those two little cute teeth up front. Makes him look like a child. This one is rough. And I know Jesus is supposed to be going through pain, but this just looks painful. I've had about enough of this one. Let's see what's next. All right, now this tattoo is wild, and obviously it's healed because the artist is rubbing their hands on top of it. This thing healed beautifully. I love the tones of gray that this thing has. Obviously the gold is nice, but man, this thing is dope. I love the emotion that the face in this has. It's just, it really makes you feel something. And also the composition on this tattoo is done really well. This is true artistry. It's not just totem poling things on top of each other to fit Instagram. This tattoo really keeps your eye moving throughout the entire thing. Just the way that they have the face at the bottom and the rib cage or whatever that is going through the top of the arm to lead you to that golden gray heart. There's so much black at the top of this tattoo and there's hardly any at the bottom. I know we talked about a lot of black in the previous tattoo, but this is just great contrast. All that black in the background just really makes that gold pop. Excellent job to the artist. Huge props to Luigi Mansi who made this masterpiece. Let's see what else we've got. All right, next up we've got this very interesting choice in neck tattoos.
Sound the alarm. This is the most nefarious, diabolical tattoo we've seen yet. Sack chaser? You got the sack chasing throat? You cannot get locked up. And you have that bullshit ass chest tattoo underneath. Could you imagine what it'd be like in prison for you? Where's sack chaser at? My boy Sack chasing, I need that. Know your ass was on the short bus, and now you out here on these streets serving sacks, supposedly. God forbid you get locked up doing that, you gonna be sack chasing.
I mean, that's a really good point. You don't really want sack chaser on your neck if you go to prison. Obviously, sack chaser means you're chasing money, you get it. But in the prison world, it could mean something totally different. And you know what I mean. I mean, it could mean that in real life. Not something I would necessarily be putting on my neck. Yeah, very interesting choice. Obviously not that great of a tattoo either. Yeah, goofy-ass tattoo, not the best idea, not the best execution. Let's see what else we've got. It's that time again. We gotta give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this channel, the company that makes this all possible, and that is Mad Rabbit Aftercare, a premium aftercare company that has everything you need for the beginning of your tattoo all the way through the end and beyond. To check out all they have to offer, head on over to madrabbit.com and be sure to use my code PONY20 to save 20% off of your entire order. All right, back to it. All right, we're in for a fun one. I don't know how they're gonna tattoo that. All right, well, I guess that answers my question. Hand poking is probably the best way to go about this. I just can't imagine how much that hurts. I mean, people don't even like going to the dentist, let alone having a tattoo needle in your mouth. Kind of wild. I'm kind of cool, I dig it. But wild nonetheless. Oof. I mean, the execution isn't that great, but I don't know what you would expect for being on that part of your mouth. But at least all of her teeth are in good shape, because if her teeth weren't in good shape and she got an inside of her mouth tattoo first before fixing her teeth, then we'd have some issues. Fuck, I just can't get over how that would feel. I mean, I'm interested, but I just don't know if I could take it. Well, at least she didn't get sack chaser. Next! All right, now I've seen a couple of these tattoos online, the all blue looking tattoos, and I have seen them heal really well, and I've also seen some heal not so well. This tattoo does look crazy. I mean, it is a beautiful looking design. That dragon is sharp. I'm just always really curious with how these things heal up. But man, this tattoo has great composition. It flows throughout the entire arm. Beautiful execution. It really does look like a nice piece of china. I just worry because there really isn't a whole lot of actual black, and colors can change over time. They're just using a lot of light colors, and blue is notoriously hard to tattoo with, at least for me anyway. Plus there is a whole lot of white. They're not necessarily using it as a crutch, but we all know that white tends to fade the fastest. So personally, I just worry about how this thing's going to look in 5 or 10 years. So I don't know how long the person has had this, and by chance, if the wearer of this is watching, I would love to see a healed photo. And I do hope this thing healed up great, because this is beautiful. But let's check out one more. Surprise, surprise, we've got another blue tattoo. And this one actually looks like it's going to show us healed, so couldn't ask for better. Right now, as it sits, fresh tattoo, really not too bad. I like the tones of blue that are used. It is a pretty simple design, but it is also on a hand, which I think is a solid move because hands don't tend to heal the greatest. So having less detail should result in a better outcome. Let's find out. The fresh tattoo says it was done in February of 2022, and this healed photo is exactly 1 year later. And this blue did get quite a bit darker. And since there are several layers of new skin over this thing, depending on what tone your skin color is, it will affect the colors of your tattoo. And as you can see, there are greenish, yellowish tints around the outside of this thing that don't appear on the fresh tattoo. This is really something that we should be keeping in mind if we do want a tattoo like this. What is the outcome going to be? What is this tattoo going to look like after my skin grows over it? And maybe change your design accordingly, unless you're into it. Maybe make a test patch with all sorts of different blues on a less important part of your body. You can always get it covered later, but it would be nice to see how those blues react over time. I know this isn't something that's that common, it's just something that kind of popped in my head right now, but I think it's pretty smart. The pinky around the knuckle, kind of lost some detail, but that's to be expected with hand and finger tattoos. But overall, this thing healed up all right. Not too bad of a job. What do you guys think? What were some of your favorite tattoos from this episode? I'm personally just happy that we got to see a lot of good tattoos this week. And I know we didn't mention who every artist was in this video because they might not have been tagged, but if you happen to know who these artists were, please give them a shout out in the comments below. But that's going to be it for this week. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here. And as always, I will see you guys next week.